Hello, everybody. Welcome to Tea Time with Liz. How is everyone doing tonight? It is Monday, and I'm so excited to be here live with you. Go ahead and share, tag a friend. Also, let us know where you're tuning in from so we can shout you out. We thank you for taking time. Shout out to all the replay players as well. Thank you for tuning in and watching the replay. Well, I'm excited for tonight because we are going to get deep into our season three, where we are talking about worth, and it's actually going to be a two-part um, series. So we're going to get part one tonight, and then on the second Tuesday of March, March 8th, we will do our part two. So we meet every Monday, every other Monday, excuse me, at 7:30. All right, every other Monday at 7:30. I hope you all, like I said, had an amazing Monday. I don't have any more tea time announcements, so we're gonna get into it. But like I said, I hope you had a great start or having a great start. Um, I do have one more. Sorry, I forgot. I need you all to subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you haven't done so yet, you will find it on YouTube under Tea Time with Liz Clark. So go ahead and subscribe. If you missed season two or even one, you will find all of those episodes there so you can catch up on all the tea. All right. And also, if you haven't liked us here on Facebook, or if you haven't followed us on Instagram, that's what IG stands for. You want to go ahead and do so you can get all the tea. Later tonight, I will be posting our weekly affirmation so that we can continue to speak life into ourselves. All right. Now for real, I don't have any more tea time announcements, so we're going to get into this tea tonight. So, like I said, tonight is going to be about being good enough. So it's going to be part one. And, this is a Christian platform. So we are definitely going to reference the Bible a little bit. I'll definitely try to make it easy for you to understand because I know it can be very complicated at times, right? And so, like I said, if you miss the introduction to this season, when I was talking about what is worth and how do we find our worth and how do we find ourselves even worthy to receive anything. Um, and a lot of times we dumb ourselves down. We don't value who and what we are and who God has created us to be. And so I thought tonight we would talk about two women, but we're only going to talk about one of them. But we're going to eventually talk about two women, two sisters at that. Leah, and whoops, let me put that back up. We're going to talk about Leah more or less tonight, and then we'll get into Rachel. Leah represents, like I said, being good enough. And if you haven't tuned into any of the other tea times, you will um, find me talking about Leah a lot because I definitely connected with Leah on several occasions in my life. God has definitely showed her to me as an example of what He can do and what He can set you free from. And what we go through is not uncommon at that, right? And then we're going to talk about Rachel, like I said, the second week of March. And that's going to be part two. And I'm going to talk about the pretty girl syndrome. It's something I totally made up. Okay. So don't be in the comments coming after me. But um, it's definitely something that I've heard from others and even somewhat now have experienced myself, knowing that I am beautiful inside and out. And when you walk in that confidence, sometimes the beauty part of us gets complicated to handle because sometimes that's all people see, that's all people want. And so then you begin to feel as though, are you even more than that? So that's going to be part two. But tonight, like I said, we're going to talk about Leah. So let's get into that. So grab your tea, grab your water, your notebooks, your tissues, whatever you need, and settle in for this great conversation. So hey, Miss Lauren. Hello, hello. Like I said, you will find Leah in the book of Genesis and also Rachel in chapter 29. I encourage you to find a Bible version that you can understand. But also, I'm old school, so keep the King James version next to it just in case something gets missed or doesn't add up. Okay, that's the only warning I'm going to put out there. But majority of the time those other versions are pretty self-explanatory and can give you a deeper understanding. Okay, so Leah and her sister were described differently, and it wasn't necessarily by character, but it was by the way they looked. You will find that they described Leah as tender-eyed, and so back then basically they were saying that, she didn't really add up to the beauty of what society would call beautiful. She didn't fall in line as being one of those pretty girls, because I'm assuming she had a flaw, maybe with her eyes or the way her eyes were shaped. Like I said, it wasn't receptive to the culture, and so they put this label on her, right? And so, in the next couple verses, you will find that they described Rachel. Rachel was described as beautiful and well fared. She basically, gravitated people to her by her beauty, which understands this whole story of how this all came about, because Rachel was being sought after to be a wife by Jacob. And then they also had a father named Laban. So Laban said, yeah, you can have my daughter Rachel. We just need you to serve for 7 years, to kind of pay that debt, and she's all yours. And so he's like, okay, I'm going to go ahead and pay my debts and, do what I got to do. And then she'll be my wife. Then come to find out, like, okay, y'all, this Bible thing, it's real good. I promise you, it's real good, because what stuff happens today definitely happens in the Bible. So we all have heard about catfishing. We've all seen it. We've all even watched the show, I'm sure of. This was a catfish situation in the Bible. So he wanted Rachel, he saw Rachel, but when it came down to the wedding, he didn't get Rachel. He woke up to who? He woke up to Leah. He woke up to a whole nother woman, a woman that he did not desire, a woman he did not want. And so Laban, obviously Jacob's mad, so he goes to Laban like, "Listen, I didn't serve for her. I served for Rachel. What's really going on here?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, I forgot to tell you the fine print. That according to our culture, the older daughter has to go first. So you're gonna have to serve another 7 years if you want." Rachel. And so he's like, that's fine. But he did still give Rachel ahead of time. So that's kind of the gist or the summary of the story. Like I said, read about it. But the pieces I want to talk about is now knowing kind of Leah's background, you can see why. Some of her comments in that chapter as well, when she starts to produce children, and how she feels, began to be betrayed, because first she's dealing with a father who doesn't value her. He doesn't value her feelings. He doesn't value, this whole situation. And I'm sure probably back in that time, women couldn't really say much, or fight up against, what is being told to them. But I'm sure deep inside, if she had enough strength to, that she would find herself worthy enough to say, hey, you know what, I believe I can find a husband, or I can be found, excuse me, let me rephrase that. And so I don't want to trick this man into something he doesn't want. But I'm sure because of the label that has been put on her, her low self esteem, she fell and dealt with the manipulation. So let's pause there for a second. Let's talk about it. How many of us have been labeled? How many of us feel that as though we are flawed? How many of us feel as though we are not good enough and have not really had that respect of relationship or being wanted. And so sometimes we will find ourselves selling ourselves short in what we are valued or what we are worth. And we will, fall into the manipulations. We will give more than what we receive. We will, spend ourselves short, all in order to fill a void that we did not want to deal with. In our earlier years. Some of us have not had faithful fathers. Some of us have not had a father. Some of us have fathers, but didn't really know how to speak to us women. Sorry, guys, if you're listening in, but but I can only speak from a woman's perspective, right? So nevertheless, we have all these different avenues that affect us as women, and it doesn't help either as society, having labels. Like I said, they labeled her to be tender-eyed. They labeled her not to be good enough, not to meet the beauty. Measurement or perspective of society. And so now she has this life that's not being spoken to her, and so low self-esteem, and I'm sure depression. And with all that, it doesn't make you want to carry yourself as such. It causes you to just, do whatever, be whatever. And once again, once you find somebody that does come your way to feed into that hole or to that void that you're missing, we tend to not once again value ourselves. We just accept what they are offering to that empty hole. We are accepting to what they are offering to that empty space, and there are tons of red flags. Okay, let's talk about the flags for a minute, right? There are tons of red flags, and this goes for all relationships, whether it be sister brother, intimate relationships, best friends, whatever. Sometimes we will try to buy people's attention. Sometimes we will try to overcompensate for people's attention. Why? Because we have been rejected. Because look at it, she's been rejected by her father. He didn't care. He could care less about what she was going to have to deal with on the other side. Didn't care about her feelings as, like I said, valued as a wife, as soon to be a mother to some children. Like he didn't think about any of that. He just found a way to manipulate this man in a sense by using his daughter. But then, so she's not only been rejected by her father, but then now she's dealing with rejection now from a man that she is now married. Definitely abandonment issues. She's dealing with the fact that this man doesn't even want her. He didn't choose her. He definitely didn't sign up for her. And so, he's just basically having to basically accept her. And once again, how many of us have had to deal with those types of situations? Like you said, Lauren, abandonment issues, daddy issues, but even broken relationships or dysfunctional relationships. Like I said, we tend to miss those red flags when we know someone is not treating us as such, when we know that someone is not valuing who and what we are. But that causes us to have to stand up and to speak life for ourselves. We have to be the ones to have enough strength, to have enough courage to say, enough's enough. You can't fill that void. You haven't been filling that void. And all the other things that you're bringing in is not worth it. And it can be a very lonely and dark place. It can be a very silent cry in a sense, because no one's out here just saying, hey, guess what, I have abandonment issues, or I have daddy issues, or whatever the case may be. But we tend to show what we want or what we need, and we aren't even whole. And so, what I've learned about Leah, like I said, when I was studying this a long time ago, um, one thing that came to me was that her name has the word heal in it. And so that was my revelation, is that God wants to heal Leah's out here. God wants to heal those of us who are still dealing with some abandonment issues, rejection issues, daddy issues, relationships, dysfunction. Because when we aren't allowing God to heal us and filling those voids and making us whole, we will continue to be attracted to dysfunction. We will continue to be attracted to manipulation and rejection, and we wonder why things will never change, because once again we're not standing up and we're not vocalizing at that as well, to say, hey, this is my boundary, and guess what, this is what I expect, this is what I'm giving, and in return I believe you should, be able to do the same, and know how to connect with me. When you have to dumb yourself down, when you have to, like I said, sell yourself short, or basically pull back who you truly are for the sake of others, there's a problem there. And so you need to take some time and heal. And sometimes you have to shut people down. Sometimes you have to let people go. And like I said before, it can be a very dark place. It can be a very silent cry. There can be some depression that comes with it, but there are definitely resources, because I truly believe in therapy. By all means, you definitely want to sign up for that, but you definitely want to find a connection with God so that He can begin to heal you, and He can begin to help you become whole. Because I believe that God allows voids to happen in our lives so that we can figure out who He truly is in our lives. Not to say that that's the only thing He can be, but it opens a door for us to connect with Him. It's a place where no man can feel, it's no place that no man can get the credit for. It's no place that, like I said, materials or anything can make us whole. It is only God Himself that can allow us to. But we, as the person who is dealing with the rejection, the hurt, the abandonment, we have to be able to be open and recognize and say, hey, I'm hurt. Hey, I'm not good. Hey, I need to deal with this. I talk about this all the time. You have to deal with the root of things. Like I said, sometimes you don't understand why you keep attracting the same type of people. You don't understand why you keep connecting with the same type of people. Well, maybe there's something that you're trying to feel in your life, in your heart, and you're not doing it right. You're doing it with everybody else, and so when they don't become that idol or that God to you, your world comes crashing down. If you don't give them what they want, you don't get to receive, and that's not the type of God that I know. You don't have to give anything to Him. He's willing and open to give you whatever you need, if you are willing to just be open to having a relationship with Him. Hello, Miss Cynthia and Elder Birch. Hello, hello. So, you just definitely have to take those moments of reflection, be honest with yourself, and to say, hey, you know what? I am dumbing myself down. I am, thinking of myself lower than I ought to, and I need to figure this out. I need to make some changes. And you definitely, like I said, that is a road to healing. That's a road to just acknowledging where the cuts, where the bruises, where the hole is, and just allowing God's help. Like I said, therapy, being able to talk about it, be able to make strategies to make a healthier mindset for yourself. And that's why I'm really, really strong in believing this season for um, uh, affirmation, because affirmation does so much. Like I said, it may sound weird at first. It may be like, this is dumb. I don't know what's really going on, but the more you talk about it, the more you speak life of what you want to receive, what you want to see. Those things really do connect spiritually with God, and He will help you to obtain those. He is working on His behalf, or on your behalf, behind the scenes. He is starting to work and build that value even higher. And that's what I love about, some of these low places, some of these places that are broken. I always say this, that the darkest places of my life have been the best places of my life, and I can say that now coming out of it. But in the process, you probably put hear me say that, but nevertheless, as I respect the process, as I surrendered and allowed God to heal me, to help me to see, I say this all the time, that it took me over 30 some years to see how beautiful I really was, knowing that I had a beautiful inside, but I could never match it up with the outside. And so it caused me to feel as though, like I said, I had to overcompensate. I felt like Leah. I felt, rejection in a lot of places, because the friends that I would hang around, they are beautiful women as well. They were always the one to be, hollered at, or asked for numbers and so forth. And so, I just always thought, I was the ugly friend. I always thought that I wasn't good enough. And so, like I said, because you want something so bad, sometimes you will overcompensate. And I finally have come to realize I don't have to overcompensate for anything. And the best thing about it is that every divine connection has been a great connection. It's healthy. It doesn't make me feel as though I have to lose who I am, dumb down who I am, and it's a wonderful thing, right? When you allow God to choose your friends, when you allow God to really control your life, it's amazing. There's less stress, there's less worry, there's less tears, there's less pain. I'm not saying that it's 100 every day, because it's not. But it's much better than when we try to, or when we try to fix it ourselves. So that is really kind of all I wanted to talk about. Like I said tonight, just in part one, is about Leah, and just understand that you have value, understand that you are worth something. And God saw her. That's what I want to finish up on, about Leah, is that God didn't leave her empty handed. The amazing thing about Leah is that God opened her womb, or gave her the opportunity to become a mother before Rachel. He allowed her to have more children than Rachel, and to see her value as a woman. Because back then their purpose was, and it was no, I know I don't want to sound like I'm not all for women power, because women are capable of doing a lot of things, right? But back then, their purpose was to be able to birth children. And so, if you struggled with that, sometimes they always thought, there was something wrong with you, or whatever the case may be. I'm not going to get into all the theological deepness of it all, but nevertheless, God knew that Leah struggled with a lot of things, and that's what I really want to encourage you. God sees you; He sees you through it all. But it's her greatest testimony, because not only, like I said, did she was able to birth children, but she birthed like half of Jacob's children. She had about six kids, and actually one of the children that she birthed actually comes from the genealogy of Jesus. So to know that this broken woman, this woman who was rejected, this woman who was manipulated, would eventually be somewhere down the bloodline of our Savior. And if it wasn't for this whole mistake, what would have happened, right? And so that's what I really want you to really understand, that nothing is a mistake. We've all been there, we've all come short, we've all dealt with some things, but let's turn it around. Let's find purpose in it. Let's see what God will turn around for his glory. Let's see what good things are going to come out of your rejection. What things are you going to be able to produce? Who are you going to be able to help? Maybe even will inspire you to do more for others that may be in the same predicament. I could tell you this: our generation, the younger generation behind us, definitely needs our help. They definitely need to know that there's hope, because they definitely feel like Leah, and knowing that they just feel tossed to and fro, really don't know what's really going on. And so, if you are a teen out there, preteen, hold your head up high, and there is more to come in life. There is a better tomorrow. I promise you that. That this world, even though in its craziness, there is still an opportunity to live an amazing, great, and wonderful life. It's all promised to us, right? By the grace of God. So, like I said, that is all I have tonight. I hope you were encouraged by this quick tea that we had tonight. I did not want to hold you too long, but I'm excited to go into part two. Like I said, we're going to talk about Rachel, her sister, and even kind of conclude how we compare each other as women, and, on our different flaws. So, it's going to be some great tea. That will be March 8th, will be our next tea time. So stay tuned for more affirmations to come. Like I said, I will be posting that here after our live ends. And also the following Monday, you will find another affirmation. So make sure you are speaking life, you are living life, and you are loving life. All right. God bless, and we will talk to you all soon.